If you want to improve battery life on POCO C85, it is actually pretty simple. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go to settings and we're gonna scroll down in here in order to find the battery option. And in here, the easiest way to actually improve the battery life is by using the battery checkup, which will definitely help you get some additional minutes, as you can see over here. So in this case, we can see the suggestions that have higher power consumption, which we can deal with. So for example, we can close apps that drain the battery. Of course, we can uncheck every of these options if you don't want something to be allowed or something to happen. And of course, we also have some additional suggestions that can also add some minutes or maybe even an hour. For example, over here, the dark mode can give us apparently even 1 hour of additional time, which can be quite significant, of course. And you might notice that many of these options only provide a couple of minutes, but of course, if we sum it up, it actually adds up to quite a bit of time, which might be quite crucial. So you can use this battery checkup menu in order to actually get more battery life. In addition to that, it is recommended to use, for example, the battery saver, maybe even the ultra battery saver, whenever you need that additional time because, for example, you cannot charge your phone at a given moment. Of course, it is not really recommended to use these features all the time and have the battery saver enabled all the time, but just in situations where you need that extra time before you can start charging your phone again. So remember about these things. And besides that, we should be able to also go to additional features where, for example, we can clear cache when device is locked, which can also be quite useful in some situations. And of course, below over here, we can see apps that drain our battery. So maybe you want to, let's say, not use them that often. Of course, this is just a suggestion, but generally speaking, this is how it looks like. Of course, depending on what you do with the phone, the battery may last longer or shorter time. And besides these battery settings, what you can also do is, of course, you can go through, for example, display and brightness, and many of these options in here can improve the battery life. For example, the aforementioned dark mode, the automatic screen brightness, or even the refresh rate. And I know that the refresh rate is very visually pleasing, so no one really wants to give up on 120 Hz and reduce to 60 Hz just to save the battery. However, since we are talking about improving the battery life, I just have to mention it. And besides that, there is also something that I want to show you in location. If we go to location services over here, you should be able to find Wi-Fi and Bluetooth scanning. And in both of these cases, it is actually recommended to turn off the scanning. And this can also help you save the battery quite a bit. And usually, most of the time, you don't really need these features. So there's no point of having them enabled all the time. And whenever the phone requires you to have these options enabled, then of course, you will be informed about it. So then you can turn it on temporarily until you are done. And that is essentially it. Of course, I also can mention things like, for example, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and NFC and some other stuff. But what I'm trying to say is that if you, for example, have Bluetooth enabled all the time, you will use more battery when you only use Bluetooth whenever you need to. So if you don't have any Bluetooth device connected at a given moment, you can just simply turn off Bluetooth for now, right? And whenever you want to use something, if you want to connect something to your phone using the Bluetooth, then of course you can turn it back on. The same can be said about NFC, about location, about mobile data, and Wi-Fi as well. So if you are outside of your home and you don't have Wi-Fi at a given moment, there's no need to have this enabled. But these are just small things, but still, of course, worth mentioning. And also, apps that are running constantly in the background can be quite power consuming as well. And I think one of the biggest apps, let's say, maybe not apps, but generally speaking, like biggest apps, or apps that use the most battery, are those that constantly change something, like, for example, video wallpapers. So if you have an animated video wallpaper, then it will definitely consume lots of battery, so you have to keep that in mind. And that is pretty much it. You can also use the security app in here where we have, let's say, the boost speed option, which can also be quite useful in this case. So why not give it a try? But that is pretty much it. Thanks for watching, leave a like and subscribe.